Alright guys, welcome back. Just one sec while I mess with a couple of settings. Okay, good. Perfect. So here we are back at Firelink Shrine where we left off. And we were about to go down to Blight Town. And then at the very end of the previous episode, I showed you the shortcut into Blight Town if you have the Master Key. But seeing as this is a Let's Play, and turning into a bit of a tutorial, I guess, we're gonna take the long way down into Blight Town. Now, since I don't have any editing software or anything like that, you'll all get to see every embarrassing death I'm about to have down in Blight Town. And I apologize in advance for any, FPS lag or lack of quality while I'm down there. The game, unfortunately, was poorly optimized for PC. Now, currently I'm using a Tower Kite Shield and the Drake Sword on my adventure. And the Drake Sword is an incredibly powerful tool to have this early in the game. Fortunately, getting into Blight Town takes a little bit of running around if you don't use the back door. You'll notice with the Drake Sword, these enemies, even with just a single one-handed slash, I'm getting the extra souls out of them. So it really does help move the game along a little bit quicker if you have the Drake Sword. However, it lacks in the later part of the game. And you can see there I took an arrow to the head, and it stunned me for a second. Getting cocky and taking all kinds of bad hits. Now, even from our previous episode, I'm in human form right now, so I'm able to be invaded. And I'm gonna try and retain human form as long as I can in this game, as long as I'm able. Hearing footsteps behind me. There we are. Yeah. This is what I get for playing a first-person shooter all day. And having accurate crosshairs. Anyhow, it'll take me a little bit to get back into the swing of these controls. Now that flail attack that these standard enemies use is really damaging to a fresh player. Like, it's a good 3/4 of your health bar if you get hit by it, and you don't take any action to get out of it. For the spearman there, if you can't get the hang of kicking because the controls are a little clunky for it at times, and you're still getting poked a lot when you're trying to take their shield down by two-handing your weapon, the third option is to just tap their shield once, sometimes twice, and they'll start it to an attack, and you can try and parry them. Now, ranged weapons in this game in the hands of NPCs have an awkward ability that they're able to track your character while they're moving, even after the weapon is fired. So you gotta keep moving and keep dodging, even if you're moving when they fire. I guess it's to simulate, you know, them leading you or whatnot, because they're NPCs, they can't. And here's the entrance to the lower undead burg. On my first playthrough of the game, that took me a little while to find because I had no idea where to go. And here's a nice little shortcut you can unlock up here. That leads you back to the upper Undead Burg's bonfire and this little area here. Oh, hello. Where'd you come from? Now, sound is really important in this game. You can often hear enemies trying to sneak up on you and everything like that. Ah, the dogs. To me, these are the most annoying enemies in the game. They're not especially powerful against the Drake Sword, but if you didn't know to shoot the dragon's tail off and stuff like that, it takes 2 or 3 hits to kill these things. And when they do attack, it stacks up bleed.
Somebody! Please let me out of here. Somebody! Anybody! Help me! Unlock the door! Damn, I'm finished. How did this ever happen?
And what bleed is if the bar fills up, you'll automatically lose 30% of your total health. So it's not a good thing to have stacking up on you. And we'll just open the door here to let this poor sod out.
Brilliant. You opened the door for me. Thank you. I'm saved. I thought I might never escape. I am Griggs of Vinheim, a sorcerer of the school. I am much obliged for your assistance. Thanks to you, I may now resume my travels.
And who Griggs there is he's the starter sorcery merchant. He sells you spells, and he's got 2 very useful rings for spellcasters, if you chose to go down that path. And if you pick up the stuff off this corpse, you get the entire sorcerer starting set, if your character was starting as a sorcerer. So if you just leave Griggs in there, he wanders his way back to Firelink Shrine, like every other NPC. Now these guys with the torches, yeah, they're the dredgelings, but they do a lot of damage if they hit you with those torches. Fire is really deadly in this game, so you gotta watch out for it. Thankfully they're stupid and these guys just let you kind of shoot them in the face. Twin humanities. Always useful. Now, because I've played this game an awful lot, I know that there's an ambush coming up. However, if you check these messages that other players have left around, they usually tell you what is coming up. Like, lying in ambush ahead, trap ahead. And here, this guy is probably telling me to attack here. But this weapon doesn't have the poke through that a longer reach weapon would. Now, the developers of Dark Souls are somewhat sneaky, although a little cliché, of hiding things in very obvious places. Such as this mail breaker. The mail breaker is almost like a dagger rapier. You can attack behind your shield with it. It's very lightweight, but it has a very low damage potential. With only 57 base and a DC scaling stat, but its critical is even higher than that of the rapier with 120. And its 0.5 weight, if you're going for a pure spellcaster type build, it means you don't have to put as many points into endurance to keep yourself on a fast roll. And you see that little bar building up at the bottom of my screen? The little red dot? That's bleed. If that bar happened to fill up the whole way, if these guys kept hitting me, I would eventually see a big red message across my screen that says blood loss, and lose 30% of my maximum HP. And if it kills you, it kills you. Oh, and there's the thief starting gear, minus the bandit knife for the starting weapon. Now, a lot of people would come charging straight through this door, but there's a little path down this way. And again, you have to be careful on your corners because they hide a lot of unknown enemies, or even treasures sometimes. Oh, I just heard the sound of me being invaded. Yeah, DKS Souls has invaded me. So this is probably going to go badly, as I'm not a very good PvPer. We'll see if we can get out of the zone before he finds me. Oh, so much for that hope. Yep. He's a much higher level than I am. Do you see what he's holding? That is Quelaag's Fury Sword, so he's a good portion of the game ahead of where I am. Now you'll notice both my humanity and my souls counter has gone to 0. Not a big deal. If we can make it back to where that player has killed me, I'll be able to recover everything that was lost. However, should I die before I reach that point, everything that I've lost there is gone for good. Try for a headshot here. Now, since my character doesn't wear any armor, when his first hit actually hit me, it stunned my character so he could continue to R1 spam me, as they call it. Basically just do these nice little light hits like this over and over again to kill me. However, his sword was also massively upgraded, not to mention a Demon weapon. So, being invaded by that player, he's obviously had some help along the way. To have a low enough soul level for that, and be in this area, but have a weapon that comes from later in the game, he's either got somebody to run through the game, make the weapon, and give it to him, or he's, for some reason, come back to this area, although I don't know why he would do that. Now we'll just keep walking down this path. Extremely unlucky on my part to get somebody who must have been the upper end of my level range. Or just another griefer that's got his buddies to trade him off his weapons and stuff so he can invade low-level players with completely overpowered gear. And you see that green glow up there? That's where my body is. Or rather, just my soul goop. And we'll pick that up along the way. And I have my 2 passive humanity back in the counter there. And I've gotten all my souls back, plus those that I've collected along the way. Here we have a second merchant. She...
You still have your senses about you, and why won't you buy some of my nuts?
She's kind of creepy. But she sells some pretty good items. She sells humanity. She only has one of them in stock though. And a very useful item, the Purging Stone, happens if you get cursed. And curse might happen to me later in the game. And the pine resins. A lot like gold pine resin, you can apply different pine resins for different effects. Charcoal pine resin applies fire, and rotten pine resin adds poison to your weapon. And we spoke earlier when I was showing you the back door to Blight Town, the transient curse. She sells these in case you run out of the items, so you can continue to engage the ghosts. She also sells a variety of mosses and a few other things. But over here she also sells arrows, which are handy. But she is the only merchant in the game that sells these 2 types of arrows, the fire arrow and the poison arrow. While the poison arrow does a little less damage than the standard arrow, it adds poison to your attack. So if you're looking to deal with enemies from range and sneakily, just pop a couple of poison arrows into them and wait it out. It does a slow bleed type effect over time to them. However, they're 100 souls each, so we'll not buy any of those now. And we're going to open up this shortcut as well. And you're all probably recognizing this area by now as the tunnels outside of Firelink. Oh. Yeah, another thing about these plague rats is they are a great source for humanity crystals. So, if you get short on humanity, or you lose a whole stack of it because you keep getting invaded, or you get invaded and you die before you can get your humanity back, if you continually kill rats, they'll drop you humanity crystals. Yeah. Now, something I failed to mention earlier in the game is the blacksmith, the first one we ran into, also sells shards, Titanite shards, so you can just buy those off him if you're looking to upgrade your equipment right away. And we'll rest here at Firelink Shrine. The reason I rest at Firelink Shrine is it's an already kindled bonfire, so it will automatically give you the 10 flasks instead of 5. Also, it's the path of least resistance to get back up to the boss fight I was about to do. And I, for one, do not like that boss fight. I'll talk to this guy, Griggs.
Oh, hello. I regret meeting you under such compromising circumstances. At least we both made it back unscathed. Incidentally, would you care to learn any sorceries? You're clearly talented, and besides, I owe you. Of course, we will require some materials, but I'm happy to teach you some elementary spells. Are you interested?
For 99% of the questions, the answer is always yes.
Splendid. Very well. I am pleased to have a chance to give something back. Well then, let's get started straight away.
Now he sells a variety of spells, and they all do different things. He also sells the Sorcerer's Catalyst, in case you lose yours or feed it to a snake or drop it for whatever reasons. You can always buy it back from this guy. He also sells these two rings, the Bellowing Dragon Crest Ring and the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring. The Bellowing Dragon Crest Ring is a must-have for any spellcaster, because it doesn't just boost sorcery damage, it also works on pyromancy and miracles as well. But, back to the thing at hand. We're just gonna buy Soul Arrow and Heavy Soul Arrow from him for now.
All right. That should help you. May we...
Now the thing about pyromancy is its catalyst, the pyromancy flame, doesn't weigh anything. However, the sorcerer's catalyst for casting sorceries has a weight of 2. Not a huge deal, but that in order to maintain a fast roll, that's almost 8 points of endurance you'd have to get if you were just at the borderline for your fast roll. And you'll see down at the bottom, it scales E with strength and A with intelligence. The E for strength scales its physical damage. The A for intelligence scales its magic adjustment, or how hard your spells hit. Meanwhile, the Pyromancy Flame only has a magic adjustment of 100. And regardless of the amount of intelligence you have, since it doesn't have a scaling stat, it won't go up. So the only way to get better with Pyromancy is to upgrade the Flame. And to do that, you have to find another Pyromancer. But we're going to switch out to the Sorcerer's Catalyst here. And quite quickly, we're going to crack a bunch of these souls that I've been picking up, the soul credit card as they were. I'm going to crack these to add them to my counter before I level up. Now you can always stockpile these items for each playthrough, the Souls of Lost Undead and the Souls. It always starts with Souls about. And as you get more and more renowned, like it will go Lost Undead, Large Lost Undead, Nameless Soldier, up through Knights to Warriors to Heroes. And each one is worth more and more souls. But you can stockpile them through playthroughs if you're looking for a big boost in souls at maybe the end of your playthrough, in case you're having trouble with the end boss. So we're going to level up here, and I'm going to put a lot of points into intelligence. Now we'll move down to Attuned Magic. This is where you actually equip your spells. And you can see that I have the 3 spells there: Soul Arrow, Heavy Soul Arrow, and Fireball. So pushing select, I can move that over and equip the 2 sorceries now rather than my Pyromancy. And you can see, even with 14 intelligence, it doesn't deal nearly the damage that my Pyromancy was at the start of the game. However, I get 30 casts of Soul Arrow, whereas my Pyromancy, I only got 8 casts of Fireball. Now there's a bunch of different catalysts in the game for sorcery. The most basic catalyst is the Sorcerer's Catalyst. But it seems to have one of the best magic adjustments out of all the different catalysts. Mainly because all the different catalysts have some kind of secondary effect that help you out. Such as the Tin Catalyst has a much higher physical attack on it. It's much larger than the normal Sorcerer's Catalyst, and attacks kind of like a spear. You can, rather than just kind of flail a stick, you actually attack with it in a stabbing motion. There's also the Demon Catalyst that replaces the physical attack with a fire attack. And here we go. This is one of my most hated boss fights. Mainly because you have to fight this guy in an arena the size of a phone booth. And he's got 2 little minions. Now you can keep him at range and attack with magic. And I'll break out the heavier soul arrow spell here, because he's choosing to walk. And it takes a while to charge up, but it does substantially more damage than the light version. And here he's walked under this staircase. You can jump down on his head and hit him with your sword. Oh, he's got me pinned in a corner here. That's not good. Here we go. Or you could try and jump off here and do one of the downward slashes that we did against the Taurus Demon. And that makes short work of this boss, especially with the Drake Sword. Now, things to watch for is he also has a jumping attack that if you don't have a lot of endurance or a good shield, will plow directly through all of your endurance and deal you a lot of damage. Because if ever your shield broken, you take a critical hit for the remainder of the damage that the blow would do. And here we are going down into the depths. Now, I don't intend to use the Drake Sword forever. But until I start getting green shards of Titanite, which is the resource you need for any kind of beginning magic weapon, regardless of what kind of magic weapon it is, except for lightning. Lightning weapons are the only magic weapon you don't need a special type of Titanite for, because it uses the standard reinforcement Titanite. I'm going to switch back to my magic gear to see how powerful it hits. Decently powerful, but still enough to drop these basic enemies in one hit. So we're going to need a lot more intelligence if we're going to start using sorceries over pyromancy currently. Now, as you progress through the game, of course enemies are supposed to get harder. Ah, the Butcher. Good old Diablo 1 days. Now, you gotta watch out for this guy. He's big and oafy, but that meat cleaver he has does a lot of damage. He also has a meat hook there, that if you stand in front of him too long with your shield up, he'll just grab you, toss you on the ground, and meat cleaver you. embers. There's a lot of different embers in the game, and each one is useful. The large ember I just picked up out of the chest, if I give it to the first blacksmith that we ran into, he'll be able to ascend my weapons from a +5 weapon to a +6. And you need that blacksmith in order to make a weapon +6 and above. But once you have ascended a weapon, you can do the rest of the enforcement yourself. So if I have a +5 weapon, I need the blacksmith to ascend the weapon, or modify equipment to ascend it to a +6. But then, with a weaponsmith box, I could do the rest of the upgrades from any bonfire from 7, 8, 9, 10.
You. Yes, you. Here, over here. Please, you must help me. Thank you. I would have been a supper without you. Been eaten alive. I started to think. Thank you. Thank you dearly. I am Laurentius. With the great spot. I will not forget what I did to you.
I'm just going to shorten his name to Lauren. But Lauren's the first pyromancer trainer of the game. And if you're not a pyromancer at the start, he will give you a pyromancy flame at Firelink Shrine. He also sells pyromancy spells and upgrades your pyromancy flame. Now we're going to take a little shortcut into the depths here, just to open stuff up. However, that is one big rat. Now, if you feel particularly brave, you can go down there and fight him. He has very wide attacks, and they do a lot of damage and stamina damage. So instead I'm going to stay up here and just pepper him with magic. Now, humanity also has another use in your soft humanity counter. It also serves as the only statistic that will increase your curse resistance, other than wearing specific gear. So it's always a good idea to have at least some humanity in your counter, even if it's just to increase your item drop chance. Oh. You see how this rat has a smoky outline? It's because there's a six-eyed channeler nearby buffing him. And he doesn't get additional resistance or anything like that, but what he does get is bonus damage. Seems he can see me, but I can't see him right now. I'm just gonna kill off all his minions here before we go in there. And you gotta watch out for these guys. It's true that they're mages, but their attacks do a lot of damage should they hit you with that stick. Because he also buffs himself. And if you get lucky enough, they do have a chance to drop that weapon. Some people, like my friend Belle, spend hours upon hours down here killing these rats for the humanity crystal drops that you have. Ah, the Great Axe. I'm never going to have the statistics on this character to wield it, but it is a phenomenal weapon. I picked up that key over by the big rat that I killed. Now, I've got a bunch of souls, so I'm going to level up again. Put a few more points into intelligence. I eventually want to get that to about 25 before I stop putting points into it for now. And start focusing on some more vitality and endurance. I forget how much damage I was doing before with one of these against a rat. I think it is 66. But we're up to 82 there now. So at about 20 intelligence, I guess, you can start one-shotting these rats with just a simple soul arrow. Soul Arrow is the magic, if you start as a sorcerer, that you start the game with. It's the most basic spell. There's the humanity. You have to watch your weapon in these really tight tunnels. Unless you have a thrusting weapon, you're going to want to have a weapon that's attack profile can be used in a narrow corridor as well. So, we're going to take the Nesty Plunge here down this way. And these guys are terrible enemies. These are basilisks, and that cloud of gas that they're spewing out causes curse. And you see this weird little man made of leaves type of deal? That's a player that has gotten cursed. And what happens when you get cursed is it kills you immediately, regardless of how much health you have in the bar. You'll respawn at your bonfire, but you'll only have half your maximum HP available to you. And curse is cumulative. So if you get cursed again, before breaking the initial curse, you'll only have a quarter of your HP bar to work with. Which is why Purging Stones are a very useful item to have. Even if you have one or two in your inventory, because they are kind of expensive. They're really good for the just in case it happens event. You can tell that the basilisks are around. If you just listen, you can hear them croak a little bit. It's a weird little gurgling sound you hear. Now, I just picked up another ring. And it's the Ring of the Evil Eye. And that will allow me to heal, I think it's 50 HP per enemy I kill. It might be a certain percentage of your max HP, I'm not sure. But I'm a little injured there now, so I'm going to kill both these basilisks and have it heal me. If you have free slots in your quick inventory, which is down on your D-pad, and you pick something up that you haven't had in your inventory, or don't have any more of in your inventory, it will automatically put it in a slot there for you. Thank you for locking on. Now that I've taken a little bit of damage, we'll see how long it takes. Okay, I'll just back away from this rat for a little bit. Go over to my character statistics. I have 528 HP, and after killing the rat, I have 558 HP. So it's 30 HP a kill. Not a whole lot, but it doesn't matter what you kill. So if there's a lot of one-hit enemies around that are not dangerous or anything like that, you can heal yourself back up by just killing those. Now these slimes are tricky, because sometimes they hide on the ceiling. If I look up there, you can kind of make it out a little bit. Might be able to pick it off there. There we go. Because if you happen to just wander underneath these, they'll detach themselves from the ceilings and perform a grapple attack on you. And to get out of a grapple attack, you have to spam the top triggers to try and wriggle yourself free. And you'll be taking damage the whole time during the grapple attack. Each grapple attack does have a maximum duration, though. So, if you forget what buttons to hit, it won't kill you automatically. But they do a good amount of damage if you don't try and wriggle out of them. Now, underneath my stamina bar, you can see that there's two little icons there. My stamina bar is the green one. And the two icons is, one of them comes from the Drake Sword for increased defense, and the other one is from the Ring of Evil Eye, showing that if I kill something, I'll get health back. Oh, just shy of another level. So I'm going to reverse my hollowing, get back into human form. And let's see how far we can make it before I get invaded again and lose completely in PvP. That was a very, very sad display. Now, these blob monsters, or the slimes, are very resistant to physical damage. But if you use fire against them, they die pretty quickly. A +3 Pyromancer Flame and the spell Combustion, you can go through a crowd of them really quickly. And I bring that up because these monsters here are one of the very few that drop green Titanite shards, needed for making magic weapons. Now, you don't need enchanted weapons in the game. You can... Oh, large Titanite shard. That's too bad. But you don't need to have the magic element on your sword or whatever weapon you choose to fight with. Just following the standard enforcement path and increasing dexterity and strength will give you all the damage you need if you choose to go that route. Over here we have the Golden Side, our old friend Knight Solaire. And anytime this game gives you NPC phantoms, it means there's a big fight coming up that you might have difficulty with. And if you've let Lautrec out of the tower, and talked to him at Firelink and got your Sunlight Medal, you can summon him to help you in this fight. Now, there is a trade-off. My character doesn't wear armor, and as such I can't take very many hits, but not due to the lack of a defense stat. Every level you go up in Dark Souls increases your physical and magical defenses. But armor, most armor, adds this stat called poise. I never get over this. Again, the artwork in this game is amazing. But continuing on my last topic of poise. What poise is your character's ability to power through taking a hit. So, if you do happen to take a hit, either from an NPC or from an opposing player... Oh, what am I doing? I don't want to kill you yet. Again, poise. If you do take a hit from an NPC or an attacking player, what poise is your ability to not get staggered from it. And you'll notice when I took a hit from my Dark Wraith opponent, it staggered me pretty bad. Bad enough that I took a subsequent hit, which killed me. This dragon isn't going to do his thing. You do not want to get caught under that. Once these phantoms have vanished, I just wanted to show that you can summon them. The Gaping Dragon pretty well decimates these guys, because unfortunately NPCs don't know how to fight. But the trick to this fight is to get him to do this, his little charge attack. If you get caught underneath it, you're a dead man. And if you get about that far away before he flops over, he's already chosen an attack he wants to do. That's another reason we take dragon tails off. It's so that they can't use them as an attack. Now, when he goes into his stomp, get some distance on him. You need to be a certain amount of distance away before he'll do his charge attack. There it is. Already chosen another attack animation. So run up to him, so he'll start into it, and then run away. being stubborn today. There we go. Off comes his tail. And during his charge attack, if you have a ranged attack available to you, such as magic, pyromancy, or even a bow, you can use that, depending on what your attack stat is. Since I'm about equal right now, there's the fly up, you want to keep an eye on him. If he lands on you, it will kill you. Oh, he's got something in mind. Right now I'm using the heavy soul arrow just because it does more damage than my normal one. When you see him curl up his gut like that and start writhing around, he's about to unleash an acid attack. And what it will do is destroy the gear you are wearing. Oh, he almost got me. Nope, no charge. And that attack right there, the one sweeping leg, oh, that's not good. I'm cornered. Good. Since I've cut off his tail, that's not a very good attack for him to be using. But good for me. And you don't want to get too close to his legs. It still does damage while his legs are in motion. So if you get stomped on by those legs, they're gonna hurt. And that there, the single leg swamp, or sweep, will cause the dragon to grab you and stick you into his giant stomach mouth thing. And it's a standard grapple attack where you have to spam the buttons to get out, but it does so much more damage than any other creature's grapple attack. Now you'll see me using two hands on my sword for this fight, mainly because a shield is next to useless against this guy. All of his attacks would come over the top of the shield anyway, and hit you on what's called the dead angle. And it's fairly aptly named, because if you get hit at that angle, you're gonna die. And the dead angle is roughly about directly over top of your character, and anything past 180 degrees while you have your shield out. Anything past that, and you might get backstabbed. Oh, let's not get greedy. Back off. The one thing I love about these Souls games, both Demon Souls and Dark Souls, every time you beat a boss for the first time, or even the third time, it feels like an accomplishment. Especially when you're doing it in new game like plus 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 plus, because the bosses always scale up in the new game plus. So every time you win, it's an accomplishment. And you might know the mechanics and everything else, but that's not to say that you can't get screwed. Like when he did the fly attack, I was cornered in this little area and he was going to kill me if he came down at the right angle. And 25,000 souls is a good chunk of souls. Another reason I decided not to skip coming down here. But there's no quick out here. Actually, did I remember to pick that up? No, I didn't. Okay. Back down we go. I'm a little bit of a completionist at heart, so it kind of shatters my soul to leave treasure lying around. I just can't do it. I know exactly what it is. I know I don't need it. But I can't stand not having it. And that there is the starting equipment for the warrior class. If we look at it, along with the rest of our stuff, we've got a lot of hollow warrior armor and hollow soldier armor. You can see that the hollow soldier armor has 12 poise. So if you take a hit, there's a chance that you won't get stunned from it. But over here for the hard leather armor, it offers a lot better physical resistance and lightning resistance than my current garb does, but less magic and fire. It's also much heavier, offers no curse resistance, or it offers less poison resistance, and the same amount of bleed resistance. It offers no poise either. So really, there's always the toss-up between, is it worth wearing over my current stuff, and the weight factor. Do you want to be able to roll? Do you want to be able to just medium roll? Because the heavier an armor set is, generally, the more poise it gives. So you can juggernaut through more and more hits if you're planning on making yourself a tank type of character. Ah, yes, this guy.
Aye, sure. I'm good too. I'm Don of Zeta. I'm just a peddler of sorts. I adore trinkets and oddities, so I trade for them.
He sells gold pine resin. It's definitely a good thing to have. He also sells these crystal weapons. This crystal straight sword is a lot like the Drake sword, except it only has 60 durability, and you cannot repair it. It has 50 less attack power, and it weighs the same. But 150 attack power is still nothing to scoff at, and it also has the scaling stat of the standard straight sword CC. So you can see there, the plus 40 from my combined dexterity and strength almost brings it in line with the Drake sword. So you can see how later on in the game the Drake sword does lose its luster to a scaling stat.
But no matter.
Now with all these souls, I'm gonna try... Actually, I wonder if I can still do this. Or if killing that dragon was bad. I'm also alive, so the possibility of invasion by a human player is still present. But I'm fairly close to a shortcut from the bonfire, so I'm not too worried about it if I get killed. Now, if you have a lot of humanity, this is a good place to farm souls, is these basilisks. If you don't have to worry about the curse, because you have a lot of humanity, they're worth 200 souls each, they don't deal any damage, and they drop something called the Eye of Death. And what Eye of Death is the Covenant item for the Gravelord Covenant. The Gravelord Covenant worships Nito, first of the dead. It deals primarily with, it's a PvP guild. So if you're part of the Covenant, you can use these Eyes of Death rather than turn them in. and you can cause black phantoms to appear in other players' worlds. However, the other players, whose worlds are invaded, can try and seek out the sign that you've dropped on the ground. And if they find the sign, they can invade your world as a blue spirit. And blue spirits are spirits of vengeance, rather than red spirits, which are dark wraiths. No real difference to a host. However, it gives the Gravelord, which is what they call the worshippers of Leto, a distinct advantage over a dark wraith, as he will have the host advantage. He will have his human form, and he'll have access to his Estus flask. So, if you invade him, he can summon help to ward you off. However, more people can find his sign and come and help you as well. Now, rather than spend these souls leveling, I'm going to go back to the surface and maybe learn some different magic. Maybe stick with pyromancy for now, as I find a lot of things in Blight Town are burnable. That's a good word for it, burnable. But they have a weakness to fire down there, I believe. Everything except the area boss. Now, I haven't really decided on what weapon I'm going to use for my end game here, but the Drake Sword's proving itself to be good enough for now. Now, that running flail attack on the torch will do a good 60 to 70% of my HP if I take the whole thing. So if you expect them that they're going to do that flail attack, just sit back with your shield up. There's a lot of back and forth in this game, unfortunately. Same things over and over until you find a new area, and then you have to creep around terrified. Now you can see, now that I'm much higher level coming through here, that these enemies are doing less damage. I'll just take this stab. And you'll see, it does less damage due to me being a higher level. I haven't changed my armor or upgraded it at all. It's just simply the fact of me being a higher level. And every level increasing your resistance to damage. And there's Lauren.
Well, I see you made it out. Yeah, I made it out safely too. I have my pyromancy of the Great Swarm, so I can use the magnets with a bit of care. Oh yeah, by the way, I can share the spells with you. I think you have a knack for it. All you need are the materials. I'll be pleased to help you. Unless you find the magics unsavory.
This is the only answer in the game that is no that I found.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm sure that they'll be of some use, some assistance. Right, let's get started right now.
And if we go down to modify equipment, it'll show the pyromancer flame here. So we're going to go ahead and modify that up a little bit. Maybe get that to a +5. And then we want to purchase items from him. We're going to buy a combustion, fire orb, and a second fireball spell.
Goodbye then. Come back.
And if you buy the spell more than one times, you can attune it more than one times here at the bonfires. So you'll see the little 2 next to the fireball scroll icon. So I can equip it twice to give me twice as many casts of fireball. But I think I'm going to go for fire orb and combustion for now. Also make sure you always have the right catalyst equipped for the magic you intend to use. And I'm going to put a point into attunement, or 2 points into attunement, so I can unlock a 3rd slot. And that'll give me a slot to equip Fireball into. What do we have here?
Oh, hello. My guests have finally arrived. I will be departing with them shortly. So, I'm afraid I will be saying goodbye soon. It was a pleasure. Oh, hello. Miracles, I presume? Yes, I know.
We'll learn a gesture from him. We'll learn how to shrug. And enter Covenant. And this guy teaches the Covenant of the Way of the White. It has no Covenant item, no ranks, no anything. But being a part of the Way of the White makes connecting with Warriors of Sunlight and a Covenant known as the Princess Guard more predominant. So you'll be able to play with other players for the PvE experience. Those are the 3 Covenants that specialize in PvE. The Warriors of Sunlight, Princess Guard, and the Way of the White. Oh man, it's like he's rapping.
What have we here? You look awfully raggedy. Times are grim. The least you can do is look sharp. Don't you dare meet my lady like that. You might scare her off for good.
I swear to God, where do people get off?
You again. What business have you? Don't suppose we can help, though. We accompany my lady on her righteous mission. It is quite a chore, but I'm stuck with her. And Nico, too. I can't very well abandon them now. Oh, it's you. We're to leave momentarily. The catacombs aren't exactly my idea of a good time, but what can one do? I do hope we meet again, rarely or not. Oh, it's you. We're to leave.
You are undead as well. Then we've no time to fraternize. I have my mission and you no doubt have yours. We must not let this curse overcome us. Did I not explain the urgency of our tasks? Or are you so uncouth as to lack such judgment? By the looks of you, I should think not.
Well, at least she was well spoken. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to head back up to the first blacksmith to give him this ember. And maybe decide on a weapon that I'll use throughout the rest of this playthrough. And a couple extra souls along the way, doesn't hurt nothing.
That's a fine ember you have there. I could smith some mighty weapons with one of those. Why not lend it to me?
By lend he means give.
Magnificent! You won't be disappointed. I can hardly wait to get started.
So, as I had mentioned earlier, he does sell shards of Titanite. So we'll buy a few of those for now.
Go get yours.
And we'll move on to the next bit. The wonderful monster he keeps in his basement. Now, I don't have the correct sorcery equipped for taking this guy on, but we'll see if we can make do. This is gonna hurt. Jump attack is incredibly annoying. He has very, very long range sweeping attacks with that pole, and they hurt a lot. He also has a ranged lightning attack. And I'm just messing these fireball tosses up pretty bad. And he also has a tail sweep. But unlike a dragon, his tail doesn't come off for an extra weapon. Now you're probably wondering why I chose to engage him with magic rather than with my Drake Sword here. And it's because those things are made of stone. They're highly resistant to physical damage. And here we have little tree ants. They're an interesting little enemy. They have really long whipping attacks from their tentacle-like arms. But, again, pyromancy is the way to go for these guys, if you're looking for a quick kill. Or the Drake Sword makes short work of them as well. Another thing I need to add is when you do use the Drake Sword's magic, it eats up the durability on the Drake Sword. So if you're using that a lot, you're going to break the weapon. And broken weapons aren't broken forever, unlike some games. If you can get to a bonfire and you have the repair box, you can repair your weapons there, or you have to run all the way back to a blacksmith and have him do it for you. Another thing about this game is there's illusionary walls. So you have to pay attention to your surroundings. See, I could see a bonfire at a sunlit on the other side of this wall. But if I just kick the illusionary wall, it breaks the illusion, and we can proceed normally to light this bonfire and rest at it. And this door is locked by some contraption. Which means my master keys aren't going to work on it. And this right here, this screams trap. Just an item in the middle of nowhere, that's a trap. So we're not going to grab it. But if you have to know what it is, it's a soul of a brave warrior. If you crush it, I believe it gives you 4,000 souls. And the stone giants. These guys are big and slow. And they have a spell that mimics a miracle called the Tranquil Walk of Peace on their weapon. And if you get lucky, and you kill enough of these guys, you can collect their weapon and shield. The Stone Great Shield and the Stone Great Sword. The Stone Great Shield is a very good Great Shield. It's super heavy, however, so unless you're playing a high endurance character, you're not going to want to carry it around. But it is the best shield in the game for just soaking damage. Now, another good farm zone is these giants. They take a little while to take down if you don't have the Drake Sword or a magic weapon, but the 600 souls they give you are well worth it. Now, he's just going to be a jerk, sit back there and whip his tentacles at me. I was trying to get him to follow me up so I wouldn't have to engage all these things at once. Because again, getting swarmed in this game gets you dead. You can't follow all the enemies at the same time. If you get surrounded or hit in the back inopportunely, the thing in front of you is still going to score its hit. Now, since these guys are really big and slow, you can just two-hand your weapon, and if you get in behind them, lay into them. A little secret here. If you're in human form, you can summon Witch Beatrice to help you with this fight. Now, since I know what enemy's coming up, I'm going to switch my shield out to something that has magic resist on it. And I have the incorrect magic equipped for this fight coming up. So it's going to be a lot of dodging, and this is going to take longer than it normally does for me. And this here is the Moonlight Butterfly. And Beatrice has chosen not to engage the Moonlight Butterfly for some reason. There we go. And Witch Beatrice can pretty well take this enemy on by herself. Your whole goal is to try and stay alive, if you don't have any ranged ability. However, occasionally the moth does land to allow you, if you're a melee character, to kill it. However, if you're a sorcery character, this fight is very easy, especially if you summon Witch Beatrice to help you. go to the top of the tower here. Look out over the world. What do you say? Be wary of fall. No kidding. And here we have what seems to be a petrified blacksmith, with a watchtower basement key, and the divine ember, and a homeward bone. In fact, we're going to use that. We're going to use the homeward bone, rather than walk all the way back. And it'll spawn you back at your last fire. And it will give you as if you had just rested at that fire. So you'd have your full complement of spells, and if I had kindled that fire, I would have 10 flasks. I'm coming back down here for a reason. So if you pay attention to your environment, you'll notice one of these things is not like the others. This old tree kind of moves. While not quite an illusionary wall, because it takes multiple hits, it's still in your way, and you can still chop it down. Now I'm going to switch this shield back out to my tower kite shield. And this weird little creature. Not worth a lot of souls, but these green blossoms are a very handy item if you're a melee character, or somebody that just likes to bounce around and roll a lot. And what it is if you spend a second to eat one, it gives you a buff where your stamina regenerates faster. So we'll just cruise through the forest here. Well, these enemies aren't exactly threatening. They have a long whipping attack that can hit you from behind. Soul of a proud knight. And you see there how I just bounced off his shield? Didn't even get any damage through? That's the stone great shield. Even two-handing my weapon, it's enough to repel me. Now, as much as I'd love to, you can actually damage these guys as they're standing up. Oh, there it is. And you see that little ring he just went out, and the little ring that's around my character? That's called the Tranquil Walk of Peace. And what happens is your character can only walk while within a certain radius of the user of that, and you can't dodge roll at all. If you try, your character just stumbles for a few seconds. And here we've collected the wolf ring. And what the wolf ring does is it boosts your poise. We'll take a look here. Another great thing about Darksouls is you don't actually get the whole story of what's going on if you just play the plotline. You have to examine the items, and those kind of unravel the world a little bit. Like here you learn just a tiny blurb about Artorias the Abyss Walker. He apparently had an unbendable will of steel and was unmatched with a greatsword. You also learn that Gwyn had 4 main knights, and each one had one of these rings. or at least a ring kind of like it. Where are you? There you are. It's a little bit dangerous and silly, but we're gonna bail over the edge here, rather than go around. If you don't make that jump, you die. And here we have the Darkroot Basin. But I hear something trying to sneak up on me around this corner. Yeah, there he is. Blood red moss. The three different mosses are blood red, purple, and flowering purple. And they kind of correspond to what each thing does. Blood red moss, if you eat it, will take down your bleed buildup. So if you're fighting somebody that's using a bleed weapon, you can eat this moss to take the buildup down. Oh, see that glow down there? That isn't a normal glow, that is a lizard. So I'm gonna walk to see how close I can get to him before he notices me like he did just now, and then run after him, because oh, buggers dig in the ground and disappear on you. And I missed him. Not to worry. He'll be back the next time you load in the game. Be wary of night. Wary of liar. And there's a path ahead. Yep, there's one there. But I see a treasure over here. Well, that doesn't look like a bad drop. So we'll collect this treasure, and it's the hunter gear that you'd start with as a hunter, plus a longbow and feather arrows. There's a lot of different arrows in the game. For the most part, all I use is standard arrows. But there's poison arrows, fire arrows, large arrows, wooden arrows, feather arrows. And each one affects your bow in a different way. Tough enemy ahead. Alright, let's do this. But the difference is, standard arrows work on the shot range of the bow and have a fairly standard amount of damage. And that's a Black Knight down there. And it seems he's got some kind of spear or halberd. But continuing on with arrows, large arrows do more damage, but have your shot range with the bow. So you have to get closer to do your full damage with it. And feather arrows do the same kind of damage that a standard arrow would do, but it increases your bow's range. I got his halberd, and a blue Titanite chunk. And that there is for a tier 2 type of magic weapon. There's 4 different types of chunks in the game, each corresponding to a different type of element. There's blue, which does magic weapons, so the int scaling weapons. There's white, that does magic damage as well, but it scales with faith. There's regular Titanite chunks, that does the lightning damage. And red Titanite chunks, which does fire damage. And for all these different damage types, except for lightning, you first have to go through the green shard phase of the weapon. So if you have a divine weapon, if you're working on a faith character, you need to get it to +5 divine. And to do that you need 10 green Titanite chunks. From levels 1 through 5, you need 10 of an item. So anything, whether it be magic, divine, or fire, would need the 10 green shards to go from levels 1 to 5. After that, if you have the special ember, and you find these specialty blacksmiths, you can get them to ascend your weapon to either a +10 divine magic or fire weapon, or you can have a split-off path, where it goes deeper into the scaling stat that you want. and for magic it becomes enchanted. However, ascending these weapons in this way kills the other scaling stats. So if you have a CC normal straight sword, when you turn it into a magic straight sword, it'll drop down to a DD scaling for the physical stat, but it will gain a C scaling for intelligence. You could go farther with enchanted, but it will drop to an EE scaling stat for your physical, and a B for your intelligence scaling stat. So if you're looking to just specialize in a certain... Oh, that's not good. Let's get out of here. And these crystal golems here are very resistant to magic. However, they're weak to fire and lightning. They have a nice AoE attack. They have an extendo pole arm. And that brutal looking uppercut there. They also have a jump attack to help them cover ground to take you out. And if it wasn't for the extra poise I gained off the wolf ring that I'm wearing now, if I got hit by one of those attacks, usually it would land your character flat on their back. Here is a fairly brutal ambush by an NPC. Oh good, I can't block that. That could have got bad. The trick to this guy is to try and get in behind him. And backstab him. However, that giant club he carries and his great shield, not to mention his armor set, is incredibly resilient to all forms of damage. Oh, that shield broke me. Gotta get out of there. If he had landed that strike, my character would have died. Now, since he's a humanoid, you can attempt to parry him, which I am not going to do because that club does a lot of damage if I mess up. But seeing as this is a tutorial, I suppose I should try. And that was incredibly dangerous. But here he drops a very significant ring if you're looking to play a heavy armor character. It's Havel's Ring. And what that does is it increases your maximum equipment load. Where are you? There, your terminal status. I now have 82.5 maximum equipment load. And having that high, I can now fast roll with my shield and Drake Sword out. So if you're looking to play a heavy armor character, the Havel's Ring is a great item to have. But since I don't have any poise in my gear, I'm going to go back to the Wolf Ring. And earlier, I missed doing this. If you have the Master Key, you can come down here and fight Havel almost immediately from the Undead Burg. Right from the staircase that you go up to fight the Taurus Demon. And eventually you can collect the Hollow Soldier's entire armor set and the Hollow Warrior entire armor set. Now I have a good amount of souls again. From just running around. Now, any character that outlives their usefulness to the plotline goes hollow in this game, or goes insane. So, if you buy out all the items that a merchant can sell or something like that, not the standard merchants like the blacksmiths or these undead merchants here in the Burg, but any specialty merchant over in Firelink, if they become useless, they go crazy. And will pop up later on in the game to attack you. Which is both good and bad, because you'll think an area clear, or that you know what's going on in an area and where all the enemies are, and one of these slightly more powerful enemies will come out of nowhere and surprise you. But upon defeating them, you get a unique-ish type item. And each character has its own unique item. However, that doesn't mean you have to wait until these characters go crazy to kill them. You could commit sin and just slaughter them in Firelink. And since they are humans, you gain a bunch of humanity crystals from them should you kill them. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to sit there like lambs to the slaughter while you beat them down. No, they're going to do their best to stay alive and kill you back. So keep in mind, when you're just flailing your weapon around in Firelink, that if you hit somebody, they're going to hit you back. So, I'm going to start my way back down to Blight Town. And when I get to the doors there, I think I'm going to cut this episode and say see you on the next one, guys. I have no idea how long I've been recording for. I'm surprised I've been alive this long and not invaded. Then again, I'm not exactly the best at PvP. Gonna be a quick, jumpy little bugger, are you? What are you doing? Now, I could go back down and around and everything like that, but I have everything I need from down there. So what I'm going to do is take the normal way down into the depths here. And again, if you see a treasure just lying around in the middle of nowhere, chances are it's a trap. Like this one is. Very well disguised trap. Now these little slime monsters are very easy to kill with pyromancy. However, this guy with the torch is kind of a jackass. Sneaking up on me like that. But, did you notice how my character didn't stagger once when taking damage from the torch? That's from poise. It's a very useful thing to have. Finding the hit point on these blob monsters. It's a little annoying some days. That ghost just scared the crap out of me. Oh, there's the damage. Gotta wriggle your way out. Now, this is a very easy green shard run. Since there's about 5 or 6 of the slimes on the roof there, I'll just do one quick run of it. I'm not gonna spend my time trying to farm those shards right now. This makes for a quick, easy, green shard looking run. It is a rare drop, so it takes a while. But if you absolutely must have that divine weapon or magic weapon here now before you can, either buy the shards or anything like that. Quick, easy run is if you just sprint through that tunnel, these guys all drop at you. You can just roast them here with pyromancy. And look for rare drops. But again, it is a rare drop and it takes quite a bit of time if you're planning on doing it that way. Alright, here we are at the door to Blight Town, and I'll see you guys next time.